Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Alazuzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we will help you to design your software or to avoid some issues when you are designing your software. So we have a lot of companies that are starting to design software as a medical device or software in a medical device, and we wanted to help you to avoid some pitfalls that can happen to you if you are starting to this kind of process. And for that, I have with me Weronika Michaluk from HTD Health that will help us on this topic. So Veronica, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thank you so much, Monir. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. Thank you.
Great. So thanks for joining and thanks for helping us on this important topic. As we said, we have a lot of people that are really developing now software as medical device. But before we start to discuss about the different pitfalls that we have to list here, can you make a small introduction of yourself?
Definitely. So once again, thank you for having me here today at this episode. My name is Veronica. I am biomedical engineer by training. I started my career as actually designing and building software as medical device. And that happened a long time ago in Poland, actually, as I am Polish, as you can tell by my accent. After that, I had a period of my career in South Korea, where I was working in Neuroscience Department in optogenetics field. And after that, I decided to move to US, to Miami, where I did my master's, my MBA, and I worked there for a couple of years in a big medical device company, and I was focusing on Latin American and Caribbean market, which was very interesting. But after that, I decided to come back to Europe, and currently I'm based in Barcelona, Spain. And also in Europe, that's how I met Zach, CEO of HTD Health. And at HTD, I am a digital health principal and head of software's medical devices. So that's where I'm actually focusing on, creating best-in-class, best quality software as medical device, and actually, focusing on delivering highest value and quality for our customers.
Great. And I suppose with all your experience and all the projects that you had to lead, you have seen a lot of issues or a lot of errors that companies are doing, and maybe always the same error that they are doing. I mean, maybe it's frustrating. So let's maybe disclose that today. What are the main errors that companies are doing? So I hope by looking at this episode, they will not redo this mistake again, and they will prevent to do any of those mistakes. So Veronica, can we start with the first one? I think we listed the first one as the risk management. So what can we say about risk management for software as medical device?
Definitely, Monir. Great point. Yes. So risk management, as we know, everything in medical device is risk-based, right? So it's very crucial to start risk management activities like since the very beginning of the project. But what I've been seeing throughout my career is like very often risk management is treated as a checkbox activity, like some people just want to do it once and forget about it. But it's not the case, because we have to remember that we really should do risk management in kind of like, iterative process. Should start in the very beginning to identify all of the risks, even before the design, because the risks identified during the, this like initial phase will help us to design, safe medical device, right? And also, if we just have this like risk management process as a checkbox activity, we'll miss out on the different threats, because you will find different risks in the beginning of the project, and you will find new risks when you are developing this medical device, especially in software. In software, in the beginning, in the first sprint, let's say, risks identified will be different than risks identified, let's say, after fifth or 10th sprint, right? Because you cannot predict everything. So I would really focus on like making sure that you do the risk management activities in the iterative way. So you come back to it. It's not one time and forget it, because first of all, it's okay what I've been talking about, like missed threats, but then also non-compliance, right? Because even the standard ISO 14971, which is about risk management, it's also a very iterative process, because there you have to follow like the process from risk analysis, risk evaluation, all the way through to risk control and residual risk evaluation. But it also emphasizes that you cannot just do it once, but you have to, you know, come back to it and add additional things. And of course, what everybody has to remember, what's the most important for me, is patient safety. You know, we do all the risk management activities because at the end of this medical device, there is patient that will be using this device or software's medical device. So that's why risk management activities are so crucial.
Exactly. And I have, so we have also, when we are doing a project, we have multiple ways to do risk management. We have, like, we call it the DFMEA for design, PFMEA for process, SFMEA for safety. I mean, you can have a lot of prefix for it, but the idea also is the fact that I suppose that companies, when they are starting the development of a project, they are already thinking of the risks. They are already saying, oh, we have to avoid this, we have to avoid that because of this, because of that. The only thing is that sometimes they are not formalizing it in a risk management file. They are not showing that in a file, or they are not recording that, which makes it like it's an ID. It's not like an action, it's an ID. Oh, we should avoid this, we should avoid that, but it's not formalized. So we don't have it recorded somewhere, and it can be also an issue because you maybe have a good idea, but you haven't recorded that. And we have also some companies that are asking, and because they don't have the understanding, if I can say, of for example, how to develop a software or whatever, but they are saying, oh, what kind of test should I do for this software? And they think that we have this answer as a consultant, but I say, okay, and I ask them, what are your risks then? Because the risks will define the test that you will be doing.
Exactly.
If your software is not connected to the internet, so maybe cybersecurity is not really a risk. So then there is no need to do a cybersecurity test. If your software is not connected through a Bluetooth or whatever, there is no Bluetooth thing, then there is no risk about connection through that, etc., etc. So it depends on your software and a lot of things. So using the risk management, as you said, is not really just check the box to say I have one because the IEC 62304 asks for it, but because you are really trying to reduce your risk as low as possible. But even on the hardware, I saw that a lot, where people are just making it as a checkbox, and trying to remember what are the risks and what they have done to reduce the risk, and etc. But if you do it from the beginning, it can be an extremely powerful tool for you and for your team, because you have really recorded everything. But yeah, I know that it's not just for software, but it's also for hardware.
Yeah, for all the medical devices, exactly, to the point. And you know, based on the risk management, you then do the tests. Exactly.
Okay, so risk management, we have IEC 6, no, it's ISO 14971, which is the general risk management. On our next topic is more the user risks, if I can say, usability. So IEC 62366. So what is the next pitfall on usability?
You know, neglecting actually user needs and usability, also forgetting about human factors in usability engineering. We have to, again, remember that all the medical devices, the software's medical device that we are creating, will be used by patients, right? So our devices cannot hurt patients. So that's the very first thing. Like, you know, human-centered design can really help you to actually design software that will be easy to use by patients, but also safe to be used. Because when we are designing these medical devices, we have to think about, you know, many different things, but, you know, to focus on like usability and safety, human factors, and good experience of the patients. Because also it's not just to design the medical device, but to also make sure that our patients will want to use it, right? And the adoption will be easy, but also will be safe. So we have to remember that SAMD, to be truly effective, must meet the actual needs of the users, and the users can be patient, can be healthcare professionals, can be caregivers, nurses, right? So really overlooking like user needs and usability can lead to products that are difficult to use and potentially compromising, patient care. So that's why I do believe this is very crucial to remember about this. And what you mentioned, Monir, the IEC 62366, it's a very good standard, actually, that I would recommend everyone to follow when they design it, because then they will be able to avoid the risk, which is like the low adoption, bad reviews, high cost of the design of the device, safety hazards if you forget about the usability, and let's remember regulatory hurdles, right? If you don't meet all of the requirements, you will not be successful, and you will not be even able to launch the device in the market.
So IEC 62366 is the usability. And if we now compare to what we said before about risk management, this standard is also asking you to do some iterative usability, like formative study during the development of the device or the software, and then summative study at the end to confirm that everything is fine. So it's the same. So here it's like, don't wait the end to verify that everything is fine. Work in advance and do some formative evaluation of your software.
Exactly. And the formative that you mentioned, you can do during the design and development, right? You can present mock-ups or prototypes. You can get feedback of UX UI during the session. You can do user testing. Exactly. You don't have to wait till the product is done.
And you talked about UX UI. This is a term that is used for user experience as a user interface. The thing here is that we hear about that, but not specifically in the medical device field. We hear that for any software that we are kind of developing. So we see that it's not just for medical devices that is important, this usability, user experience, user interface, etc. It's for any other kind of software. And I suppose like a Facebook or Instagram, they are creating some UX UI that are really great. So people are staying on their platform, or they find easily the button, or they know that by clicking here, they can do that, etc. So this is something that maybe we should learn also from those kind of platforms.
Yeah, very good point, Monir, because when we are just going to like any website, right? If there's something that, just we don't like, we just leave the website. Or if there is a new, let's say, software program, you go there, you want to do something, you want it to be easy, right? So if you go to the, like, for example, online store, you want to find your product quickly, and then you want to do like the whole payment quickly. So the same is with the software's medical device. When we design software that will be used by patients, we want it to be easy to navigate. We want patients to want to come back and to find things very easily. And also, there is a term which is called behavior change design, and actually it calls to some scientific terms and psychology. And it's very interesting, actually, because by following behavior change design, we actually try to understand the end user as well as possible, to then actually design the product in a way that the user will just, will use it without any effort. And, also we can use, it's called like small nudges, for example, or reward systems for the users, that will also just help them to get and to stay motivated to come back to the platform and to just do the work. Because as you know, in healthcare, patient engagement is still a big topic, and it's not so easy to get our patient engagement to have it high. So that's why in order to increase patient engagement, the usability engineering and good user experience, UX, UI design, it's very crucial.
Yeah, so I hope people will be taking more time to look at that specifically. The usability is really something important here. What is the next topic? The next pitfall? Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com.
The next pitfall that I would say, it's poor and disorganized documentation. This is very often. I really very often see that. Sometimes even we see companies that don't have any documentation,
Okay.
but just go, and start developing the product, but then get lost in everything, because as we know, documentation, I know it's a big topic. Also, it's required in medical device industry, but lots of, especially software developers, they don't really like it, right? Because they think that it's additional thing for them to do, and it's additional. It's kind of like adding to the workload. But we have to remember that documentation is actually very helpful for us, because it will help us to stay organized. It will help us to find things quickly about the products, and actually effective documentation is the backbone, I will say, of SAMD development, because what we kind of like, we have a saying, right, in our like quality world, that what is not documented doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And it should be like that, because if there is no documentation, it costs to loss of the time, increased cost, regulatory non-compliance. So if you, for example, if you don't have organized documentation, right, you then will lose time looking for specific documents, like where do we have this or that information, because when you don't have it organized, right, which will then increase the cost, because the longer you look for that, the longer time you spend, and you are not efficient. So all the operational inefficiencies will increase, arise, because of the disorganized documentation. And I would also say loss of knowledge, because if we document things, if we document information, requirements about our software as medical device, then different people, different team members, or quality engineers will be able to find information quickly. And also, it's about regulatory, right? If you want to submit, let's say 510K, you have to prepare very very detailed documentation. So it cannot be disorganized, because you will not get the clearance.
Exactly. And I had myself some kind of surprises where some people contact me to help them in the CE marking of their software, and they say, "Oh, we got contacted by the MHRA because our website is saying that our device is doing this and that, and this is then a medical device." And they ask us, "Where is our CE marking? Where is our dossier? Where is our thing, etc." So they contact me like, "Can you help us?" It's like there is no. I mean, you have nothing. You have done nothing, but you are already selling a device that is.
Yes.
That is apparently on the market. So, I mean, it's really difficult. Did you have this kind of case also?
Yes, also. And that's why, I was like smiling when you were talking about it, because it happens, that sometimes just, your customers come to you and they say, I have this on the market and I didn't know this is the medical device.
Exactly.
Because it's like, we have to like take the step back, and, before even designing the product, we have to really think, okay, is it a medical device? Does it meet all the requirements to be the medical device? If so, okay, I have to follow all the regulations and I have to prepare documentation. Because if not, then they come to you, Monier, to me, and we have to do kind of like reverse engineering, because then you have to prepare all of the documents from scratch, which is not a good
No, it's
solution.
not. I mean, it's always difficult to
Yeah,
remember what happened, how it was done, etc. To try to create retrospective documentation, etc. I'm not saying it's not feasible. It's just really difficult.
difficult.
And to be honest, it's even painful for the consultant that is doing that, because
Yes.
it's not really the normal way to go. It's like, think back, what was the user needs? What were the design inputs that you have done? What are the different modules, the architecture? I mean, it's like, and even sometimes when you are asking them, they have no clue what you talk about. So it's more like,
Yes.
okay, you have now to educate them, and you have then to ask them to try to build something that was not existing before, which is not my preferred project sometimes. So it's like, okay, it's really
Yeah.
difficult, this one. So let's explain to you first, because yeah, it will be painful during the next few months. So it's
Exactly, but that's when you actually have to also train your customers, right? To sit down and to actually explain them why they need all of the documents and what are the steps that you have to do now. And sometimes, what you mentioned, you have to even educate them what are the user needs, what are the design inputs, the design outputs, what are the differences, etc. So that's why our job is very interesting, Monir.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Okay, so documentation is really, really important. Don't forget that. Let's try to have
Yes.
good documents from the beginning so that you don't have the pen at the end. Okay, next one.
Next one, I would say it's very close to my heart. It's agile methodology. It's the expertise to develop actually the software's medical device. And I call it, just like lack of knowledge how to use agile methodology that will be compliant with IEC 62304. And IEC 62304 is the standard that actually everyone should follow when designing software's medical device. Because we were just talking about documentation, right? And when you think agile, lots of people say, okay, agile doesn't require any documentation, because they actually even say that, there are more important, let's say, things. But agile doesn't say to just forget about documentation. Agile focuses on the documentation that is important, and the same software's medical device and all the regulations. So what I would say, it's like the kind of the whole recipe is about really understanding agile methodology, and then making sure that you apply specific events, let's say in the, agile, like sprint planning, daily stand-ups, the retrospective, the sprint reviews, etc., that you imply there IEC 62304 standards and requirements. Because if we break this down, for example, into writing a user story that is part of the sprint in the agile world, the user story actually can contain lots of information, right? Can contain the, for example, software requirement analysis, can contain information about the architecture. So it's about actually thinking about how can you marry agile and IEC 62304, because I would say for software, I wouldn't follow waterfall, because waterfall methodology, it's like a waterfall cascading down, it's like you have to follow each stage after the other, which will then cause increased costs, because you cannot just come back and make changes. But in agile allows you to actually make changes quickly in a proper way, of course, because if you make a change, you have to review it, you have to approve it, you have to follow the process. But I believe if you follow agile correctly, that will be compliant with IEC 62304, you can accelerate development, you can increase the cost, but also you can make your design more efficient, and also ensure that you meet the user needs. Because when you're using agile, you can also adapt to changes in user needs, because people change and user needs change, and also regulatory and law requirements change. So that's what I would say, that the pitfall, which is not understanding how to use agile accordingly to IEC 62304, is very important, because if you understand how to use it properly, it makes a whole difference for the whole product.
Yeah, and I can imagine that we have also a lot of people maybe that are listening that are actually expert maybe in design and development for hardware, with the waterfall, as you've said, and moving to software with this different mindset, with the agile. We have made few episodes on agile also on the podcast, so if you want to go back and see that. But having this change of mindset on agile, having different modules or subsystem or units, etc., and testing each of them, etc., those kind of things, it can be really a different mindset. So yeah, having first maybe a training on what is agile, how it is working, and how you should use it can be great. Training on IEC 62304, as you said, mainly a lack of knowledge, a lack of expertise, a lack of understanding of all this can lead to a bad project at the end, or a wrong documentation at the end. So yeah, having this kind of expertise can be great. But yeah, we hear a lot about agile is more for software and waterfall is not really adapted for software. Sometimes there are companies that do both, like a mix of both. So it depends on your feeling, but you have really to understand each of those methodology, and then as a company, you decide which one is the preferable for you, how you can mix everything to work on that. But yeah, knowledge, expertise is really an important thing here.
True, agree.
Next one, interoperability and scalability. What do you mean by that?
Oh yeah, so this is also a big topic, and not only for software's medical device, but for all of the softwares. So what I mean by interoperability and scalability, when you design a software, you have to remember that it's scalable. You have to remember that first, okay, you create, let's say, an MVP or proof of concept MVP, but then you have to remember about this, end vision, where you want your product to be like in a very end future, let's say, later on. So that you have to design it in a way that it will be scalable. So you can add different, let's say, features maybe, or you can just improve it, right? So it's very important to make your product in a way that it will be scalable. So that's about scalability. And interoperability, it's also a big topic, because when you design a device, a software's medical device, you also have to remember that most often, it will not be just like a standalone software. It will connect with some different softwares. It will maybe connect to hospital system. Maybe it will connect to EHR, electronic health records. Then you have to follow FHIR standard, which is like it's a standard for electronic health records that is followed internationally. So when you think about interoperability, you have to ask yourself a question. Okay, what happens when my user wants to connect my system to other systems? So that's why you have to just think about the future and prepare for the future. When you design it in a way, you have to, maybe if you don't have like the expertise, it's good to ask the experts. There are tons of interoperability, I would say, great architects, software architects that would create the architecture of your software in a way that will be interoperable and scalable. So that's what I would say about it. That let's not forget that your product will be just like standalone without connecting to others, because we live in such a world that everything is connected. So we have to enable our devices to be able to connect with the external world as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because as I said before, when you look at now the other platforms like social media, whatever, when you try to connect to them, they say, oh, I can connect you to this one, to this one, to this one. I mean, they give you a choice also to connect, to gather data directly from those kind of platforms. So it means that here, yeah, it's also during the design, I think there is also this planning at the beginning where you have to say, what should your device or your software do? And in that, there should be this interoperability, this scalability, this thing that maybe for the moment the device will be on a computer, but tomorrow maybe we'll move it to a mobile application also. Then tomorrow we'll move it to whatever other thing. So the idea is, how can we let this be open and not close everything, and then avoid these features in the future? But yeah, this is planning. You should plan. You should try to discuss all together. This is why a design team is important, to discuss, explain, and then prepare for the future. And it's not like when you arrive at the end of the crossing line process to the finish to say, oh, but why don't we add this and why don't we add that, etc., which is sometimes what's happening on software development, where people are starting to have some great idea at the end to say, oh, let's do also this, let's do also that, which was not planned at the beginning. So I think this is important to discuss about that.
Definitely, yes.
Last one, we do maybe again some risks analysis about cybersecurity, which is a topic, as I said, that is really, I mean, it's something that we are talking a lot actually about, how can we protect ourselves for cybersecurity. So this is, I think, also a topic where people are making a lot of mistakes.
Oh yeah, and actually, cybersecurity is a big topic right now, because not so long time ago, FDA released a new guidance on the cybersecurity actually, and now every SAMD manufacturer must comply with this new guidance. So we have to remember that we will have to have, regular updates. We have to remember to have software bill of materials and many more, requirements that we would spend a lot of time on. But that's, just thinking about, okay, FDA released new guidance on cybersecurity, which means this is very important. And, there are more and more cyber attacks, hacker attacks on your systems. So we have to remember that it's again about patient safety. So we cannot forget cybersecurity. And it's what you mentioned, it's connected to risk management, because we have to do the risk assessment. We have to check whether our software is not vulnerable for the the attacks of the hackers, we have to do some testing, not some but a lot, to ensure that your software is safe. And that's why it's also important to remember about data encryption. All the sensitive data should be encrypted in all of the software's medical devices. And also we have to remember that medical devices, they gather lots of data, right? So you are kind of responsible for your end users' data. So that's why you have to remember about cybersecurity, and you cannot just neglect this. You have to test it, you have to plan well, you have to document it well. And if you think about it, Monir, right, all of these pitfalls actually kind of create like a I don't know, like a circle together, because they are interconnected. Like documentation is interconnected with risk management, then with cybersecurity, then with also agile methodology, etc. So it's all very connected. And if we understand it well, if we are trained well, or if we work with good experts on all of that, we will be successful and our products will be safe.
Yeah, great. So yeah, I think you are right. So it's really a process that has to be clear, correct, going to the right way. And yeah, so sometimes, as we say, we have some people that wake up a morning and say, I want to develop this because I think it's a great idea, but at the end they don't have really a great understanding of all the process and all the how this is working. So having the right expert and having the right process, the right mindset, the right thing is important, because as you've said also, there is patient at the end, there is people that will be using that at the end. So if you design something that is not really safe, then it may be worse than not having a software at all like that also. But as you've said, being if I can say, working with an expert, HTD Health, you are expert on that. So why people should contact you and how you can help them?
Definitely. So yes, HTD Health, we are a technology services company, and what we say, we are on a mission to actually imagine, design, and build a more human-centric, accessible, and productive healthcare industry. We do have more than 200 now experts on board that specialize in healthcare industry, and we have experts on software as medical device. We have great quality experts. We have great architects. What I mentioned to you, that when you think about interoperability or scalability, you have to design your software properly. So that's how we could help. We could help, by actually helping organizations, helping you, entrepreneurs or big organizations, to take the idea, the product from idea all the way to the market, because we have great UX/UI designers that also specialize in human-centric design. What I also mentioned, it's very important to design the software that will be easy to use, easy to navigate, and appealing for our end users. Also, cybersecurity experts, risk managers, right? So this is like, it takes a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge and also experience, because we worked with already we developed more than 200 projects, which is a lot. So that can give us really like the expertise and the experience needed in future projects. And what is also very important, what I would like to highlight, is that we always take every single customer, and we call the customers as our partners individually, because every single project is different. Exactly. So we start by like really discovering what is the problem that we want to solve, what are the user needs, what is your end user, and then together we design, develop, test, and then launch the software's medical device.
Great. So don't hesitate to contact HTD Health if you have any question, and all the details will be on the show notes. Thank you again, Veronica, about these pitfalls. I hope, as I say, that this will help a lot of medical device manufacturers to understand, maybe in advance, not after it happens, but in advance, what kind of issues can happen during a development, and maybe to be prepared for that and to have all the information or the contacts like you, so to contact you directly and to help them to avoid all those pitfalls also. Okay, Veronica, it was really a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you, and I wish you a nice day.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Have a great day.
You too, bye.